something that you fundamentally need to understand is that tax is the way that our society works. It's the way it functions, okay? If there's no tax, then there's no roads, hospitals, schools, anything that you use, but you don't personally pay for. Like, you come to school and you don't have to like pay money before you walk in the door, or you can drive on a road, and unless it's a toll road, you can just drive on it. All those things are paid for by the government collecting tax. Quick question.
Doesn't the tax also pay for teachers, but then don't teachers also pay for their own?
Yeah, okay, alright, so we'll get to that. Now, goods and services tax is just one of many. Two of the other big ones are, as you were just talking about, Ethan, if you earn money, if you have income, then you have to pay income tax, right? You have to pay income tax. There are other kinds of taxes based on things you own or things you buy. For example, you might have heard of a land tax. So if you own land, there's a tax attached to that. Therefore, just think about this. It's actually a really clever way of doing things. Whether or not you agree with, how much there is, because at the moment there's a bit of a disagreement. But what the government is doing is saying, look, we do need to collect money from our citizens so we can spend that money on behalf of our citizens. But the question is, who should we get that money from? And this actually kind of makes sense. If you are spending lots of money, right, that means you should have lots of money, and that should be taxed, right? So this is kind of, what this is doing is collecting for people who are, routinely spending a lot, and the more you spend, the more you get taxed. If you save a bit more, you don't have to worry about that tax, okay? At the same time, people who earn more money, they should be taxed more because they have more capacity to be able to pay for more, okay? Yeah.
But don't some people have to buy lots of things because they have like a lot of families? Wouldn't that mean that?
Well, that's true. That's exactly true. And it's funny because the government takes money away from its citizens, but also in situations exactly like that, for particular kinds of areas, for example, family, the government will give back money. For example, you might have heard of Centrelink, right? They do a whole bunch of things, but the particular thing you're talking about is, and catch the word, right? It's called the family tax benefit. Right? The larger your family is, the government will actually pay you fortnightly payments. Now you see, that's actually really clever. You're like, why don't they just take less tax? Why do they take tax and then give some back? And the answer is, there are some people who spend lots and lots and lots, but they don't have dependents. They don't have families that they need to care for. So the government doesn't need to hand that money back as it was. It's a very complicated system, but you can see there's lots of good thinking behind it. Okay. So let's have a look at a quick example question, right? E.g., okay? If you're buying, say, okay, we were talking about tablets before, right? So the tablets, tablet. If you go ahead and buy, like, say, I don't know, $830, Samsung Galaxy Note or something like that. There you go.
If you're going to buy a tablet, buy an iPad.
Alright, now, if you're buying this, I shouldn't have started a platform war. Anyway, if you're buying this, okay, in Australia, this amount tends to include the tax in it, but it might not. Right? So let's just imagine that this is the price that it actually costs, and then the government is going to add this. Okay? So let's work out what's the GST on this thing. GST. Okay, now, just before I write down the answer, right? The way I get $83 is, I can think of it two ways, and I'm going to write down both, and so should you. It's 10%, I'll get rid of this idea we're considering, is 10% of, so there's our multiplication, of 830. That, as you know, 10% is a nice convenient number. A way that you can also get to that is to say it's 830 and you divide by 10, which effectively lops off a 0, right? And that's where your $83 comes from. Okay, so if that's the GST, then the sale price, how much you and I as consumers have to pay, will be the sum of those. Daniel, is that, yeah? Okay. Manal, did you want to ask something? Sorry, say it again. Oh, okay, well, let's all calculate it together. So I'm going to put my working down, right? So I've got how much it actually costs, and then I've got this little extra bit that the government's going to grab and take for itself, okay? And so let's see. Who's got an answer? We can do this in our heads, right? Yeah, Daniel.
Oh, it's you want the answer?
Yeah, 913. I heard it a couple times. Excellent. Full stop. There you go. Done.